Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Linder, and I'm excited to be joining you this fall in Florida for the ATIXA conference. I currently work as a professor in the College of Education at the University of Utah, where I study relationship and sexual violence among college students. And I also serve as the inaugural director of the McCluskey Center for Violence Prevention, where our mission is to bring researchers and practitioners together to explore strategies for primary prevention of dating and sexual violence among college students. Additionally, I worked as a victim advocate for 8 years on a college campus. And so I'm familiar with the day-to-day pieces that go into addressing dating and sexual violence on a college campus from a practitioner lens, not just a researcher lens. So I'm excited to be there to join with you. I really find conferences to be helpful spaces for me and my work and my thinking. I always look forward to gathering with other people who have a passion for ending violence, because I find those spaces to be ones where I can really dive in and think more deeply and dream bigger about what it is that we can do to end violence on our campuses. So in the session that I'll be facilitating in particular, we'll be covering three specific things. The session is called Power Conscious Approaches to Addressing Sexual Violence Among College Students. And in this session, we'll be exploring the history of violence in our country, and specifically connecting the history of what has been happening in the United States since the colonization of our country, and how that connects with what we're seeing on our campuses today. So we'll be looking closely at the roots of oppression, racism, and violence, and how all of those connect and how they continue to show up in our world today. We'll then move on to talking about what the differences are between prevention, awareness, and response as it relates to talking about sexual violence among college students. For me, I think it's really important that we distinguish between these three areas, not because they're mutually exclusive, but because when we don't separate them, we unintentionally over-focus on response, because that becomes the most urgent and crisis-oriented part of the problem. And so it consumes our time, energy, money, and resources, because it's what's so present in our day-to-day experiences. But I believe that if we were to separate these out a little bit and think about what are some of the things we could be doing differently around primary prevention, meaning stopping the violence before it happens in the first place, it may involve engaging with people who are causing the harm or have the potential to cause harm, which is something that we haven't spent a lot of time and energy dedicated to addressing on our campuses. And then the third piece that we'll wrap up with in the session is really thinking about moving beyond a traditional expert model in our work, and thinking about how can we engage members of our campus communities who haven't historically been engaged around this issue, and help them understand what their role is in addressing violence, primarily by focusing on them as being experts on their own context and really understanding best what works best within their specific situations once they have a deeper understanding of violence and the ways that violence is impacting their specific communities that they're part of. So I'm looking forward to being there with you all in the fall, and I hope that everyone has a great summer. And I look forward to seeing you in Florida in October.